Hi, this is Colette, Coach's Insurance. In today's segment, we're going to continue our discussions concerning you've been served. Now, what? The allegation aspect of the lawsuit that you've been served with. Again, I'm speaking to my experience from being in insurance since 1994. And my advice, my recommendations do not supersede that of a medical or legal professional, but from an insurance professional's perspective, because we deal with on carrier side, TPA side, and working for numerous policyholders, we deal with litigation. It's part of our lives. And so, continuing, we talked about getting served with a lawsuit. Now, let's speak a little bit to the allegations in the lawsuit. It's so important that you as the owner or someone you delegate, read the allegations. Um, you don't want any surprises. You say to yourself, I've got this lawsuit, I've reported it to the insurance company and my broker. I'm all set. Business as usual, but not so fast. Read the allegations. Are there any allegations in there that wouldn't be covered by your insurance company? If there's an allegation of punitive damages, that's not typically covered by your insurance policy. And the moment that your insurance company reviews it, they're going to get a letter out to you to disclaim that part of the lawsuit. They're going to say this is not covered. Is there any criminal allegations in the lawsuit? That's not typically covered by your insurance company. So that might be something you have. I'm sure you have to have. If you don't already, you have uh, an attorney on speed dial that you trust and who's you're confident to run these things by and get a recommendation on handling going forward. These allegations, more than not, are not necessarily specific. They may indicate that the allegations or the damages that they're suing for are either unspecified or exceed the jurisdictional limits. So they could run the gamut. It could be frivolous in your interpretation, or it may have merit. Get familiar with what they're suing for. And there's nothing to stop you or a representative of your company for contacting the plaintiff's counsel. If they're suing and it has merit and it's legitimate, say it involves one of your job sites, ask them to send you a picture. They're easy to contact. It's easy to establish a rapport. This is what they do for a living. And you want to know that it does it really involve you? Have they mixed you up with another entity with a similar name? I've seen that way too many times to take it for granted that the lawsuit is clean. You don't want to find $20,000 down the line and that you're getting hit with your deductible for these costs for something that ends up not being yours. There's some way you can be proactive and reduce those costs associated. By all means, stay involved. And if you as the owner have your hands full, delegate someone in your office with the background that knows the questions to ask. Okay. So let's say that the lawsuit is legitimate. Maybe there's been negotiations have fallen through, and there's an impasse where the attorney is looking for 500,000, and maybe the insurance company, your attorney representative, doesn't believe it's worth more than, I don't know, $50,000. Okay, those specials are really important to be um, have an understanding of what those specials involve. And specials, we call it specials on the insurance side, and it's any damages that are being sent in support of the claim. So in the instance of bodily injury, those specials might include an individual's medical records, their out of pockets. Let's say that they are saying that they lost work for a number of months and they've included that information. Um, and that maybe the medicals were paid out of pocket, or there was a high deductible on their insurance, and their insurance company is also looking to recover what was paid out when they found out it was an accident. You want you want the best expertise, eyes and ears on this information and running it down, being familiar so you're not surprised. Again, I don't like surprises. We've already been surprised with the lawsuit, or maybe we knew it was coming. We want to reduce the surprises and know what to do next. So if they're alleging these these damages, what's her plan for um, legitimizing these damages, or are they inflated? What is my insurance company doing with this information. Again, it can get really hectic on the insurance side. I've been there. You may be fortunate enough to very rarely report a claim, but now that you have, because it's been rare, they may not be familiar with the service instructions. There may be a need to increase the reserve. You don't want a surprise. If you get your monthly loss runs as you should, so you can be familiar with what's going on with your reserves, because your reserves, the amount of your reserves, impact your premiums. You want to know that they're as close to accurate as possible. One thing to be mindful of when you get your loss runs, if you see a lot of zeros, if you see both bodily injury claims and property damage claims where you just see a bunch of zeros, you see 2,000, 25,000. I've never seen a claim that's very that exacting. When it's a general number, someone needs to get in there and jump in and get to the details. Is it really worth 25,000, or is that was that a precautionary reserve because your best practices mandate you put a reserve on it? But did you actually look a little closer at the claim and find out it's only worth 15,400? That's important for you and your premiums, that those reserves accurately reflect the value of the incident involved. Okay. And the flip side of that is, if it's a major injury, you don't want reserves that don't speak to the damages. You don't want a $25,000 reserve unless there's some strategy to move damages or reserves forward. I think information is crucial. Accurate information is crucial to planning your company's needs. And the best interest of your company is to have accurate information. If it's a broken leg that requires surgery with pins and screws and plates, it's probably worth more than $25,000. Okay. Did that person lose time from work? Were they a higher wage earner? It's probably worth more than 25,000. So why is it that I'm seeing $25,000 on my loss runs for the past 6 months? Did they receive the bill of particulars? Did they receive the supports? Did they ask for authorizations? Did they do everything they could to narrow it down and it's what it is? I like to deal with things up front. I like to be proactive because there may be opportunities that this individual may be willing to accept less than a settlement or early resolution rather than going to the steps of trial and having to throw some money on it, right? Many lawsuits are filed, very few are tried. They are settled. So if you're going to settle, does it make sense to settle sooner than later? Save yourself some legal costs? That's always been my strategy, and it's never failed, because in the long run you'll see your costs. You have significant savings. Lawsuits are inevitable. It's the nature of business these days. People are litigious, good, bad, and indifferent. But it's important to have a routine and have someone that has insight and to ask those questions. And if in the scope of your work and dealing with your customers, you've got your hands full, delegate that task to someone that has the background to ask those questions, to make sure they're keeping in the timelines that they promised, that they, just as you want to give your customer and your clients the best in the way of the product and service that you offer, make sure that you're getting the best in the product and service, because your premiums are outrageous these days. They're expensive. And then on top of that, you're going to pay out for a lawsuit. Make sure they're running a tight ship. Make sure that all the resources that they promoted and offered you are being utilized to the best, just so that they're offering you the best service. Okay? And get someone in there to make sure that that's exactly what's going on. Okay? So this ends today's segment. I hope my information was useful to you. Always reach out anytime at sep@optimum.net for any advice, forms, recommendations, and the like. All right, till next time, take care. Bye.